Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I know it's been some time, but I'm glad to see you. Are you happy to see me? You don't need to answer that. It's rhetorical. It's rhetorical. So, welcome back to my channel. I'm Vivienne Lynsey, and today I'm going to be talking through a tutorial. It's going to be like a series of mini tutorials, starting with base. Because I use my own brows, I'm going to do a completely separate video on gluing down brows and face tapes, which is something that I do sometimes, but it depends what kind of gig it is. So I use my own brows, which I did in my last video. I also realised as well that when I was painting and stuff like that, I was covering my face a lot with my mirror, which is smashed on this side. So I'm going to try and avoid showing that as much as possible in this series of tutorials, so you can actually see what I'm going to do. So first of all, I'm going to get rid of all this hair. I've re-dyed my hair recently. This whole half of my head was blonde, and now it just looks grey, gross and vile. So I'll see you in a bit. Right, okay, now I look beautiful and my hair is all tucked away. I'm going to go through it, yeah, with you. So, first of all, I use this the L'Oreal Men Expert Hydra Energetic, and I just run it underneath my eyes. So, I've recently shaved, and as you can see, like, I still have quite a lot of imperfections recently, loads of imperfections recently, and dark spots, and you can see my beard, and we want to get rid of that because we're going to be all woman, kind of. So I just use a beauty blender kind of wannabe thing and some orange cream from just like a cream palette, and I just stipple it on really. Now you can use other creams. I know that NYX Cosmetics do a really cool like colour correcting palette. So do loads of people actually. My dungaree is going to piss me off this entire time. So I just use a little bit, just on the beard line. I don't go too overboard. I've also put some here tonight for the first time ever, but you know, that's what makeup is. It's having fun and exploring. And then I just set all of that with my airspun loose powder, and then I use a nice little Chanel puff pad. Just to set it all in place. Just so that means that when I then put the cream on, my cream foundation, it doesn't bleed into it basically. Okay, I then take my TV Krylon paint stick. I use 3W for my base. Now this shade is far too yellow for my skin. I'm completely aware of that, and I try and dumb it down with my highlight colour, which I'll show you in a moment, but the first one that I ever got was so good, and now I can't remember which one it is, but I mean, I very clearly have like pinky tones in my skin instead of yellow, but for some reason, until this runs out, we're gonna look a little bit orange. I just put this all over. I concentrate it more around this area and do less on my forehead, because you don't really need that much foundation on your forehead. I prefer it to look like a gradual layer as opposed to a mask. My friend Blair has said use like one of these powder puffs and use like a Studio Fix to try and like blend out your foundation that way, but at the moment I still use the beauty blender. Now this beauty blender was pink. Disgusting, but it still works, so I still use it. So I stipple that a little bit around there, and then I take this one, which is a 406, So it's not clown white, it's a little more ivory, and I mix this in with said foundation, just a little bit. I mean, we're going to be highlighting with it anyway, so you don't want it to be too all of this colour. And then we just stipple that all in. And when you use the Beauty Blender as well, you want to stipple it. You don't want to be dragging the foundation, because if you drag it, then you're just literally moving it from A to B, and that's not what we want. And as you can see, it's a completely different colour to the rest of my body, but you know, nobody's perfect. Now, some people like to start their makeup with their eyes, because then it saves fallout of eyeshadows like on your makeup, but I just use, well, I'll show you what I do in a bit when I get onto eyes. I also just want to say a massive thank you to everyone who is still watching, who has subscribed. So that's your base done. All base is done. Right, I then go in with the highlight colour, which was the 406, and I put this on the high places of my face. So I highlight here on my chin, underneath my nose. I do a little boop on my nose, highlight here, and underneath my eyes. And if I'm feeling fat, I will do here as well, and here, just a little bit. I don't carve it out like a lot of other drag queens do, but yeah. And then I'll blend it in. I'm going to get this as smooth as possible. Once you've done your creams, you then want to powder everything, because it then sets the cream in place. Stops it from moving, stops, it helps it to stop from sweating off. It's kind of drag 101, makeup 101 really. So I take this powder puff again, and my air spun. So this is just a translucent powder, and I go all over my face. Right, okay, cool. So once I've put all the powder on and I look like an absolute ghost, I then just take a brush, a big fluffy brush, and I just wipe away any excess. And what I like to do, I took this actually from John McLean, who is a makeup artist, and he does some other stuff as well, but he's absolutely incredible. Go and check him out. I'll probably put a link down there to his channel because he's so good. I like to just feel everywhere and just have a look and see if there's any wet patches. There aren't. Right, so I then take this, which is really old and I've been using it forever. It's the NYX Highlight and Contour Palette. It's amazing. I prefer to use the contour shades as opposed to the highlight shades, just because I use different highlight powders. But yeah. I now take a brush like this, which is fluffy and angled, and I use this for my contour. So I literally run the brush through all of these shades. And then, first of all, I go into my cheek, so I'm stippling, okay? I'm not like smudging it, I'm just gonna stipple. There. I do the same on the other side. Okay, right, and now with the brush, I kind of then just swoop it up and try and just blend it in. Just make it look less of a harsh line, because no matter how amazing Trixie Mattel's makeup is, it doesn't suit me at all. There. And then I contour my forehead. Now my forehead's actually quite massive, but what I do is I also trim it down a lot by putting on a wig cap / a pair of tights. which is handy. In the industry they call this a beige rainbow. Lovely, isn't it? As if I couldn't seem any gayer right now. I also go underneath my jaw. Okay, so I don't put too much, but as you can see, I've got all this chin, all this other chin, which is a new addition to my life. It's only happened over the last couple of years since I've met my fiance, who decides to feed me continuously with food. But it's there and I don't want to see it. So what I do is I get my brush and I'm just going to blend it down. So we're trying to just get rid of any manly features we may have, apart from this nice little Adam's apple here. Okay, now what I do is I take a mix of this Ben Nye luxury powder in Cameo, and I mix it with a Johnson's talcum powder, but the majority of it is the Ben Nye. It's just, I use a little bit of the Johnson's talc just to give it a bit of a lift, just to make it less translucent and make it more white. Okay, so for this one I'm going to take a different powder puff than the other one that I used before, and I keep all of my powder in just like another little foundation pot, and I'm going to put all this powder where I've highlighted. Now, because this is quite translucent, it doesn't matter if it's perfect, thank God, because you're going to be wiping a lot of it away anyway, but it's just to intensify the white that you did put underneath your eyes at the time. Now, what I do like to do is take the powder and cut underneath my cheek here. So I guess this is what you could do with cream. I know drag queens that do cut it with cream, but I don't like it as harsh. Oh, I think it's snowing. It's snowing, and I was going to walk to my gig tonight. Well, that threw that out the window, didn't it? Now, I leave this on, it's called cooking, for roughly 2 to 3 minutes, hardly any time at all. Because I just don't think it needs too long, really. Bear with me 2 seconds, because I'm just going to go and put a light on. So it is going to change slightly, but bear with. There we go, that's better. I'm back. And I've just had a look, and yes, it's actually snowing. Full on snowing. Not impressed. I then take my big fluffy brush again, and I just wipe away. Like you're dusting away the haters. Now, what I then do, just finally, is I take powder puff again, and I just press everything as one unit, just to marry anything that's not married at the moment. Right, that is my basic contour and powder. So I use Urban Decay Afterglow. It's in the colour Rapture, and it's like a pebbly pinky colour. And I also use just this Wet n Wild angled brush. I know, I use an angled brush to do my blush. A bit weird, I think, maybe a little bit, but it works for me. And I think that that's the important thing with makeup. You need to do what works for you, because if you do what works for somebody else and it doesn't work for you, you'll look like a moron, she says, looking like this. But anyway, so I just take a bit, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it over like the top half of my contour, like so. Et voila. There, done. Now, I always find at this point, when I'm doing a face like this, just my makeup in general, this always looks really harsh, and it's really noticeable. And then when I put on all of my other makeup, my contour and my face are kind of the last things that I'm focusing on and thinking of. Yeah, that's it. That's the first part of this tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned, because in my next part I will be going on to brows and eyes. And then in my third part, I will probably be doing lips and finishing touches. So lashes, highlighter, stuff like that. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to subscribe and give it a thumbs up. Leave a comment. See if there's anything else you want me to do. Makeup wise, if there's anything that you'd like to see, if there's anything that you want me to go over. Of course, as I say, I will be doing brow blocking in a tutorial, and also wig tapes, the cheap way. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed it, and see you next week. Okay, bye.